Lucy Letby has just been sentenced to whole life term.
Yeah.
No, she'll never see the light of day again. She's no parole. She's going down. What do we think about that? Good.
Tough question, that, isn't it?
I think. No.
Shall I go first?
I think. Mr.
Should we hang her? No, is obviously the answer.
This is off the back of that, that becoming a really big conversation over the weekend.
Yeah.
Should we hang her? It's Desmond Tutu, isn't it, who says that you shouldn't have capital punishment, because you can quote this better than me if you like, because then it becomes an act of revenge rather than an act of retribution. Is that not right?
I don't know the quote. I'm sure Tutu said something like that. It sounds like a sort of eloquent and
I imagine make up a
insightful
quote.
thing. Yeah. Tutu said, hang the bitch.
Wasn't it Mother Teresa who once said?
I don't know. First off, anti-death penalty for the obvious reason. The justice system gets things wrong, right? We convict people for crimes they didn't commit, and the thing about doing that and then killing someone is you can't take it back. You can't
it's funny
apologise.
because 2 weeks ago, Andrew Wilkinson walked through for the first time in 20 years. He was inside for 17 years. He didn't do anything wrong. He was nowhere near it. He would be dead.
Yeah. No, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So that's the big caveat. That's the first thing. The conversation we're about to have about this, I don't think we'll ever have the death penalty. I don't think we should ever have the death penalty. If we were to have the death penalty, surely it's for cases like this. Like, if you were to ever do it, if you were to ever advocate for it, it would be for someone that's killed like fucking 7 babies, surely.
But I thought you made a really good point earlier before we came on to record, which was that she's going to have such a hell of a ride inside prison.
Oh, yeah, you're damn right there.
You know.
Yeah, I think, there'll be plenty of mothers, right, in prison with her who either don't have access to their children because they're in prison, have had their children taken away from them, social services, or by their partners, whatever. And I suspect quite a few of those women are going to have a problem with Letby having killed at least 7 babies. Are going to have quite a big problem with that.
Even that, do you think, with people talk about when like paedophiles go to prison or like sex criminals go to prison and people say, oh, they'll have like a torrid time inside. They've been sentenced to prison, like a prison sentence. They haven't been sentenced to attacks from fellow inmates. It's an extrajudicial punishment.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think there is like a sentiment that is like, oh yeah, get our girls, like whatever. But I think, I don't know, it seems, is there a disconnect between the being anti-death penalty and being pro other prisoners beating up?
Yeah, sorry, I'm not.
No, I know it's not a criticism of you personally, but there is like this.
Yeah.
Go on, girls. Get him. It's really inspiring for the next generation. Right.
So glad my daughter gets to watch this. No, for sure, right? 'Cause I was having this conversation on Saturday with someone, with Roche actually, who's been on the podcast, and we were talking about whether or not we think prison actually, in any way, like helps the person who's committed the crime. Do you think sending them to prison either stops them from doing crime again, improves their life chances, because that's the hard conversation to have about criminal justice, right? Is, you might want to put that person into prison. You might want the other inmates to kick the living piss out of her for the rest of her life. You might want all of those things to happen. Does that actually make that person less likely to commit crime in the future? Does it actually do anything other than tickle a slightly base and primal itch that we all have for vengeance?
Well, I don't think there'll be a lot of babies in prison, so I think that's one way for the crime not to be committed again.
Look. And the continuation of that conversation was, I think this is one of the rare instances where, yes, you have to put that person in a box and throw away the key. Yeah. Because otherwise, I'm sure she would, if she hadn't been caught, I'm sure she would have continued defending.
I know, it's rehabilitation over retribution, isn't it? That's the question.
But, I don't know, someone who's stolen a car.
Yeah.
Does putting them in prison mean they won't steal a car again? No, actually, it probably increases the likelihood because their chances of employment are now significantly harmed because they've gone through the criminal justice system. They're probably not going to have many options apart from going back to a life of crime. I don't know if prison is necessarily the answer for a lot of crimes. I think in this case, it absolutely is.
But it's the danger to society thing, isn't it? Because you remember when John Warboys was up for parole and everyone was like, what do you mean? Like the black cab rapist, why on earth is he being let out onto the streets? Like, we don't want him in normal society. I mean, like in a kind of like, is that why they shipped them all to Australia back in the day? Because they were like, we can't keep you in here any longer, but we don't quite want you here.
Excuse me.
Was it? I suppose that was the prison, wasn't it? Sure, it was the prison. It wasn't like for rehabilitation purposes.
Penal colony, yeah.
Yeah. So I suppose were prisons overcrowded? Was that something to do with
They're
it?
pretty overcrowded now.
I think it was not our problem anymore.
Yeah.
It was like
It's true, it's a problem.
not even. It was like, you go over there, you live in Australia now. You know, you set up a colony.
God, they get there and they're like, oh no, it's so hot and nice, and oh, I don't live in a shack in London. Like, no one's throwing their piss on me.
And they keep kissing me afterwards.
Me wearing a hat with a corks. Good night. Welcome to your daily kissing.
Stop that.